Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Alexandria. I am a registered nurse and a freelance health content writer, and today I'm going to be talking about negotiating pay. I am creating a series of videos about freelance writing, specifically because I don't see a ton of people who are doing that, and I wish that I had more knowledge that was free about some of the intricacies related to being a freelance writer with a background in nursing. And it's much easier than people think to start, but there will be some trials and tribulations along the way, and I just want you to know that that's entirely normal. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to my channel and leave comments and feedback. I will be looking at all of it. So all right, let's get started. Negotiating pay. I didn't think that I would be so interested in talking about this topic, but I really am. And I know that I am because I'm going through something right now where I am trying to negotiate my pay, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. So the beauty of being a freelance writer is that you do not have to agree to writing a specific topic or word count or piece without negotiating your pay. Indeed, every single time that you write an assignment, you can negotiate your pay unless you are under contract, which is why it's so important that before you sign any contracts to work with clients, you have an understanding of what you're willing to accept for pay. I will say that one of the first things I wish I would have done a little bit more was really spent some time thinking about setting my rates, because let me tell you, when you're a brand new freelance writer and you just don't know a lot, there will be people who come to you who want you to write for them for nothing or want to lowball the hell out of you. And there's really no set rule on how much money you should make for an assignment. And that's the hard part, right? And so it really becomes critical that you learn how to negotiate your pay. So I want to talk about the different types or the different ways that a lot of freelancers will set their rates. There's no there's no one specific way to set your rates. It really is based on you. And this is one of those benefits, again, of being a freelance writer. You are in control of how much money you work for or how much money you are paid every time you decide to contribute to someone else's platform as a freelance writer. So there are a couple of different ways to set your rates. You can set your rate based on the assignment, meaning that for each assignment, I'm going to get paid $500. And for each of those assignments, I know exactly how long the article is supposed to be. I know exactly whether or not I need subject matter experts. I have a style guide. I know exactly who I can and cannot use as a source. And I know the structure of the article. It's going to go in this format. And every time I send one of those articles off, I'm getting paid a set rate. Another way to think about setting your rates is through per hour. So some freelance writers will charge by the hour, and there's nothing wrong with this. Really, what this is the freelancer saying, okay, I think my writing skills are worth $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $100 an hour. I'm just giving wide ranges here because depending on who the writer is, you will definitely have some writers who charge a lot of money. But also keep in mind, those freelancers who charge a lot of money, oftentimes they are more experienced. And so if they are charging $100 an hour, it's because they can probably get out, a $1,200 or 1,200 word article in about 3 hours of time. So if they are willing to write something of that length in just a few hours of time, that $100 an hour it's not as bad as it might sound, or as high as it might sound, but that's another way that people will set their rates. And the third way that people will set their rates is per word. And this is also very common. Nothing wrong with this as well. So basically, and you do have clients who actually pay by the word still. This is probably one of the more common ways that writers get paid. So basically, the more words you have, the more you get paid. The only problem with this is that sometimes when you're getting paid by the word, you realize just how little you're getting paid for an assignment. So if you have a 2,000 word assignment and you're getting paid a penny a word, that's $200. Now, if you write 2,000 words in 2 hours, then it doesn't matter. But if it takes you, several hours, the longer that it takes to write that article, a penny a word is tough. There's no standard, by the way, of how many cents per word people should charge. I have heard, minimum 30 cents a word. I've heard minimum 50 cents a word from freelancers. I've heard $1 a word. It really just depends on you and how comfortable you feel and confident you feel in your writing skills and in your ability to produce content quickly. So even if you're producing content that, that's only a couple $100, if it took you 2 hours to do it, then did it really matter? But this is great content for you, or conversation for you, so that as you are setting your own rates, you're keeping all of these things in mind. And really, there's no right or wrong answers. So don't feel inclined to take only clients that charge, a penny a word. You don't have to do that, but it might be a starting point. Okay, and then I want to make sure I discuss what to highlight when you're negotiating pay, because there are some people out there that will try to lowball you and really have you writing these ridiculously long assignments that take you days and want to pay you $50. Be careful of that. Be careful of the people who say that they don't have anything else in their budget, because you might find yourself spending a lot of time on something that you just can't afford to spend so little time, or so much time, for so little pay. So I want you to make sure that when you're negotiating, you think about these 2 or 3 things. The first thing is to make sure that you highlight, especially if you are a nurse or a healthcare professional with a license, make sure that you tout that license. I've said this before in another video. Everyone who writes freelance content or health content does not necessarily have a background in healthcare, is not necessarily someone who has done direct patient care. People come to health content writing for different reasons. They're in journalism, and this is a topic that they're really interested in making sure that they disseminate information to the masses. They have experience with having been a patient or having watched a loved one need a lot of direct patient care, or they fell into health content writing for whatever reason, and they stuck with it. It worked for them. But for you as a health content writer who has a background in healthcare and direct patient care, you bring something to the table that other freelancers may not bring, and that is that experience with direct patient care. So make sure that you're highlighting that in your negotiations back and forth with a potential client. The other piece that goes with that is your subject matter expertise. Because of the fact that you have experience in direct patient care, that is something that also gives you a different lens, a different perspective on how to disseminate the information that you're choosing to disseminate on a specific topic. And if it's related to healthcare and you're writing on topics that you have a lot of experience in, this brings ultimate value to that client and to their reader, because everybody is not going to have experience with being in the hospital, with being in the operating room, with being in a clinic setting, with being in the public health setting and delivering, life-saving medical procedures too. And your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, all of that is valuable knowledge that you should absolutely be leveraging in your negotiations. And then if you have been writing for a little while, and even if you haven't been writing for a long time, even if you've got just a few samples, make sure that you highlight those samples and let people know, this is not my first go round. I have written before. I think that I have put out quite quality work. I have written for platforms that have this type of following. I know what I'm talking about. I should get a higher rate. So those are 3 things that I highly recommend that you use to kind of highlight yourself and your expertise and experience and the work that you've already done, if you have done work already in producing samples related to health content. And so what do you do when clients don't budge on their pay? And I love this question because, I see a lot of people who say, I would never work for free. I would never work for so little pay. And the reality of it is, sometimes you have clients who just will not budge, and it will be up to you as the freelancer to decide, is it worth my time? Is it worth me getting a sample out of this client that I really wanted to work for, I had so much high hopes for, and they don't pay me well, or they don't pay me at all? Everything isn't about money. Sometimes you have to think about other trade-offs, and I know for people, they kind of struggle with this, but it really is a question that you, as the freelance writer, as the business owner, as the authoritative voice in health content, you need to think about. You really need to figure out how important it is for you to have a dollar amount attached to every assignment that you put out. I want to make sure that I follow up with saying, please don't write for any one client, more than once for free, or more than once for pay that you just simply can't survive on, because at some point that will catch up to you. Writing for free or writing for little to no pay, at some point it just eats up all of your time. And if you're not seeing any benefits that are truly coming out of that for you, then it may be something that's just not worth the time and the energy, and you need to let go of it. So that's all I have for today. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to this channel.